What if I told you that this small-looking 1962 Indian 50 paise coin has survived for more than 6 decades and carries a fascinating story from India's early decimal currency era? What if the tiny mark near the date could reveal exactly where this coin was produced and help identify its specific variety? And the biggest question of all is this 1962 Indian 50 paise coin really rare and valuable, or are the huge prices shown in viral videos simply exaggerated claims? Welcome back to Old Coins Explorer, the channel where we explore old coins, their history, mint marks, varieties, rarity, and realistic collector value. Today, we are taking a detailed look at this beautiful old Indian coin and separating genuine facts from internet rumors. Many people see an old coin and immediately assume that its age means it must be worth thousands of rupees, but serious coin collecting does not work that way. The real value depends on several important factors, including the exact type, mint mark, condition, rarity, errors, and collector demand. This coin belongs to India's early decimal currency period and is officially known as a 50 Naye Paise coin. According to numismatic references, this type was issued from 1957 to 1963 and was made from nickel. So stay with me because we are going to examine its history, design, specifications, mint marks, rarity, mintage, condition, and realistic value. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what to check before believing any price claim about this fascinating 1962 coin. This is Old Coins Explorer, and let's begin our investigation. Correct identification of the coin. First, let's correctly identify the coin because accurate identification is the foundation of every serious coin valuation. The coin shown in the photographs is an Indian 50 Naye Paise coin dated 1962. It belongs to India's Republic-era decimal coinage and is catalogued as the 50 Naye Paise type, commonly referenced as KM55. The denomination represents half of 1 Indian rupee because the decimal system divided 1 rupee into 100 paise. The word Naye is particularly important because it places this coin within the early years of India's decimal currency. The 50 Naye Paise type was issued during the period from 1957 through 1963. The coin is round, made of nickel, weighs approximately 5 grams, measures approximately 24 millimeters, and has a reeded edge. One side features the famous Ashoka Lion Capital, together with the inscriptions India. The opposite side carries the large denomination 50, the Hindi wording for Naye Paise, and the date 1962. The photographs show a circulated example with visible wear and surface marks, which means condition must be considered carefully before discussing value. A coin from the same year and mint in excellent uncirculated condition can be considerably more desirable than a heavily circulated example. Therefore, the complete identification should not stop at 1962 50 paise. Collectors should also determine the mint mark, condition, variety, and whether any genuine mint error exists. The history behind Naye Paise. To understand this coin properly, we need to travel back to India's important transition to decimal currency. India introduced decimal coinage in 1957, changing the rupee into a system based on 100 paise. Before decimalization, India's monetary system was based on an older structure involving rupees, annas, and smaller subdivisions. The new decimal system was introduced to make calculations and everyday transactions simpler and more modern. During the transition, the new decimal paisa was identified as Naye Paise, meaning new paisa. This terminology helped ordinary people distinguish the new decimal coins from the older pre-decimal currency. The 1962 coin therefore belongs to an important transitional period in Indian monetary history. The word Naye was eventually removed from Indian coinage in 1964 after the decimal system had become familiar to the public. This means that our 1962 example comes from the final years of the Naye Paise era. Imagine the number of transactions this little coin may have been involved in during the 1960s and the decades that followed. It may have passed through shops, markets, homes, pockets, and businesses before eventually becoming part of a collection. That is what makes old coins fascinating. They are physical objects that connect us directly with everyday life in the past. So this is not simply an old 50 paise coin, it is a small historical record of India's transformation into a modern decimal monetary system. Ashoka Lion Capital and National Identity. Now let's examine the side featuring the Ashoka Lion Capital, one of the most recognizable national symbols of India. At the center of the coin we can see the lion capital design associated with Emperor Ashoka and the ancient Mauryan period. After India's independence, the lion capital became the state emblem of the Republic of India and was incorporated into the country's coinage. Around the emblem we can see the inscriptions India, presenting India's identity in both Devanagari and Latin scripts. This bilingual design reflects the country's diverse population and the importance of national identity on Republic-era currency. The lion capital also creates a fascinating connection between ancient Indian history and the modern republic. On the coin shown in the photographs, the emblem remains clearly recognizable, although years of circulation have softened some of the finer details. The highest points of the design show wear, and there are visible surface marks caused by circulation and handling. For collectors, this is important because condition is one of the major factors used to determine desirability and value. A sharply struck coin with original surfaces and minimal wear can be much more attractive than a heavily circulated example. However, circulation wear does not remove the historical importance of the coin. In fact, it tells us that this particular piece was actually used as money rather than spending its entire life inside a collection. When you look at the Ashoka Lion Capital on this 1962 coin, you are therefore looking at both a national symbol and a surviving piece of India's early Republic-era history. The 50 denomination and 1962 date. Now let's turn to the other side of the coin, where the large denomination and date provide some of the most important identification details. The huge 50 in the center immediately tells us that this was a 50 paise denomination. Below the number is the Hindi wording, confirming that this belongs to the Naye Paise series. The design also includes wording connecting the denomination with the rupee, giving the coin its distinctive early decimal appearance. The date 1962 appears below the denomination and is one of the first things collectors should check when identifying an example. Around the lower portion we can see decorative wreath elements that frame the date and give the design a balanced appearance. The large numerals remain easy to recognize in the photographs even though the coin has experienced circulation. This design is noticeably different from many later Indian 50 paise coins, so learning its characteristics can help collectors quickly identify early decimal issues. The type was produced for several years, from 1957 to 1963, which means that several different dates can share this same general design. However, the date alone is not enough to establish rarity or value. Collectors should also examine the mint mark, because different mints produced varieties of the same denomination and year. The condition of the surfaces and the sharpness of the lettering and numerals should also be considered. If you have this coin physically, take a clear close-up photograph of the date and the surrounding area because the smallest details may provide the most valuable information. Metal, weight, diameter, and edge. Now let's discuss the technical specifications of this coin, because measurements can help confirm whether your coin matches the correct catalog type. The 1962 Indian 50 Naye Paise coin is catalogued as being made from nickel. Its standard weight is approximately 5 grams, while its diameter is approximately 24 millimeters. The catalogued thickness is around 1.67 millimeters, and the coin has a round shape. Another important feature is its reeded edge, which means that narrow grooves run around the circumference of the coin. These specifications are extremely useful for collectors because they allow you to compare your physical coin with established reference information. If you own one, use an accurate digital scale to check the weight rather than estimating it by hand. A vernier caliper can also be used to measure the diameter and thickness. Small differences should not immediately cause concern because manufacturing tolerances, circulation wear, dirt, and measurement equipment can all affect the results slightly. However, a major difference in weight or size should encourage further investigation. The nickel composition also tells us that the coin is not valuable because of silver or gold content. Its potential collector value comes instead from factors such as the mint variety, condition, rarity, historical importance, and demand. The reeded edge is also useful because it gives collectors another physical characteristic to compare when identifying the coin. So, if you find a 1962 50 Naye Paise coin, do not only look at the front and back, check the edge, weigh it, measure it, and compare all those details with reliable references. Mint marks and the tiny detail collectors must check. Now we come to perhaps the most important detail on this entire coin, the mint mark. A mint mark is a tiny symbol placed on a coin to identify the mint where it was manufactured. For the 50 Naye Paise series, numismatic references identify mints including Kolkata, formerly Calcutta, and Mumbai, formerly Bombay. The Mumbai or Bombay variety is associated with a diamond mint mark, while the Kolkata variety is listed without a mint mark. This means that two coins can have the exact same denomination and year but still represent different catalog varieties. For the 1962 diamond-marked variety, Numista records a reported mintage of more than 64 million pieces, showing that this was a large production issue. The photographs supplied for this video clearly show the 1962 date, but the tiny mint mark area is not sharp enough for me to responsibly guarantee which mint produced this exact specimen. And that is an important point for every serious collector: never guess a mint mark simply because you want your coin to be rare. If you have the physical coin, use a magnifying glass or macro camera and inspect the area around the date very carefully. If you clearly see the appropriate diamond symbol, that points toward the Mumbai or Bombay variety. If the expected diamond is absent, the coin may correspond to the Kolkata variety, but the complete design should still be compared with a reliable catalog. A tiny symbol that looks insignificant to an ordinary person can be extremely important to a coin collector. So remember this simple rule: the date tells you when the coin was made, but the mint mark can tell you where it was made. Before you believe any viral value claim about your 1962 50 paise coin, identify that tiny mint detail first. Condition, errors, and authentication. Now let's talk about one of the most important factors in coin collecting: condition, because the same 1962 Indian 50 paise coin can have very different collector appeal depending on how well it has survived. The coin shown in these photographs appears to be a circulated example, with visible wear across the raised parts of the design and some surface marks from years of handling. When collectors examine condition, they look at the sharpness of the lettering, the date, the Ashoka Lion Capital, the wreath, and the overall surface quality. Coins with strong details and very little circulation wear can be much more desirable than heavily worn examples of the same date and mint. However, collectors should also understand the difference between normal wear and a genuine mint error. A scratch, dent, hole, cleaning mark, corrosion spot, or damage caused after the coin entered circulation is generally not considered a valuable mint error. A genuine mint error is created during the manufacturing process, and examples can include major off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die breaks, or other documented abnormalities. If you believe your 1962 coin has an unusual error, do not immediately assume that it is rare or valuable. Instead, take sharp photographs from both sides, photograph the edge, weigh the coin accurately, and compare the suspected error with known examples from reliable numismatic references. Most importantly, never clean this coin with toothpaste, metal polish, chemicals, sandpaper, or abrasive materials. Cleaning can permanently damage the original surface and may reduce its appeal to serious collectors. If the coin appears to have an important error or exceptional preservation, professional examination by a reputable coin expert or grading service can provide a much stronger basis for identification and valuation. Remember, authentication and careful examination are always more reliable than viral social media claims. Final verdict: real value and strong ending. So, after examining the history, design, specifications, mint marks, condition, and collector factors, what is the final verdict on this 1962 Indian 50 paise coin? This is a fascinating early decimal Indian coin from the 50 Naye Paise series, and its historical importance is genuine. The type was issued from 1957 to 1963, with the coin made from nickel, weighing approximately 5 grams, measuring around 24 millimeters, and featuring a reeded edge. The coin carries the famous Ashoka Lion Capital on one side and the large 50 denomination, Naye Paise inscription, and 1962 date on the other side. The most important detail for a collector is the exact mint variety, because the 1962 issue can be found with different mint indications. A diamond mint mark is associated with the Mumbai or Bombay variety, while the absence of a mint mark is associated with the Kolkata variety in catalog references. The 1962 issue was produced in large quantities, so the year 1962 alone does not prove that every example is an extremely rare or high-value coin. The actual collector value depends on the exact variety, condition, authenticity, possible genuine errors, and current buyer demand. The circulated condition visible in these photographs means that this particular example should not automatically be compared with exceptionally preserved uncirculated specimens. And this is the most important message for everyone watching: do not believe unbelievable coin prices simply because someone has posted them online. An advertised price is not the same thing as a confirmed selling price, and an old coin is not automatically worth a fortune simply because it is decades old. If you own this coin, carefully check the mint mark, weigh it, measure it, inspect the edge, examine the condition, and compare it with reliable numismatic references before deciding what it is worth. Most importantly, keep the coin safe and avoid cleaning it, because its original surface is part of its history. This little 1962 coin has survived more than 6 decades and gives us a fascinating connection to India's early decimal currency era. If you enjoyed this investigation, make sure to subscribe to Old Coins Explorer for more old Indian coins, rare varieties, mint marks, errors, historical coins, and realistic value investigations. And remember, the real treasure in an old coin is not always the price, it is the history, the story, and the mystery waiting to be discovered.